Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to part 1 of episode 39 of the Psychotherapist Podcast. I am your psycho host, Malcolm Clancy, and I of course will be speaking with my therapist, Doc Bob. In this opening part of the episode, we go through a phobia assessment worksheet, so I get to talk about all my anxieties. Bob shares a story of how he is attacked by a gang of bikers, and we talk about the dissolution of radical groups such as the Black Panthers, s.d.s, etc. All that and more on this episode of the Psychotherapist Podcast. Thank you for listening.
Okay, good morning, Malcolm. How are you?
I am fantastic, Sir Bobbert. How are you?
Excellent.
Great. This
is second session in this office since pandemic?
Yep.
Okay.
I miss the old place, you know. I think you've got a lot of good things around here, like that jar of stones, those like wind things.
Yes.
It's a good setup.
Yeah, I have a lot of sort of I think you'd call them mindfulness sorts of things, Tibetan kinds of things, some of my little noise makers and things like that.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. As long as I do want to start off with a
I might as
bowl.
well. This is my smaller bowl. My bigger bowl is at home. I was going to ring up before you came in a whole little orchestral thing, 2-minute Tibetan orchestral thing that I found on the internet.
Oh, nice.
It was really nice. I mean, really very soothing. This has to be put down. This is smaller, so the sound is not as prominent, but we should get a good tune out of this.
Pineal gland engaged. That was a good one.
And away we go.
And away we go.
I have put markers on my little hammer here that I use, so.
Nice.
Okay.
Groovy. So did you want to start off with that, whatever that test was called, the phobia assessment?
So basically, I haven't looked at your responses yet, and I just pulled down that test last night because I wanted to update some of the objective information.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's only a matter of time before there's a request from your insurance provider for rationale for additional sessions. But I also want to take a look at progress. And what this one I specifically focused on were the social anxiety issues, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have a point of comparison because the instruments I used before were different anyway, okay?
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is just have a little discussion, if that's okay with you, about one's items that still seem to be somewhat of an issue, okay?
Sure.
And the first one is being afraid of people in authority. Now you just mentioned a little bit. What's your vision of that?
I don't know. I guess I just have a little bit of sense of mortality, and that I know a cop can ruin my life. I know a boss can ruin my life.
All right.
I know the feds can ruin my life. So
that's
the maximum amount of extent of respect, fear, and whatever I go towards authority.
So that's that level of authority.
Yeah.
Knowing that there's someone out there who could just give you a hard time and make your life miserable.
Yeah. I'm always going to be...
who has a hair across their ass on that particular day.
Oh, yeah. I'm always going to be real nice to a judge.
Okay. This is actually a good one. It's a good strategy in this era, and that is avoid talking to people you don't know. Had you talked, without all the craziness that's going on around us, had you slowed down your talking to people in general? Strangers, people at the subway?
I mean, the thing is, I don't go out a lot.
Yeah.
So there's really not even that many opportunities, but I'm much better at chatting with just random strangers than I was before.
Better at it, okay.
Yeah.
Of course, now we need to be guarded.
Don't we always?
Yeah, more so than ever, though. without getting into the specifics, I had to teach this lesson to my daughter and her 3 kids yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
For the day before, when they took me for a little ride down to Castle Island, and I heard the vroom of the motorcycles, and I said, "Oh, this doesn't sound good." And we got out of there before things got bad, but there was some activity that occurred. But my point was, when she parked the car, and I wasn't thinking either, she parked it smack dab in the center of the circular parking lot, mm-hmm. so that there was no way to exit that. She had no way of, she was boxed in.
Shit.
So I said, it's something you guys are going to have to be careful of, and especially in the city.
Yeah. So what was going on at Castle Island? Some kind of like...
Nothing, we just went down there for lunch.
Sorry, what?
We just went down there for lunch.
No, I know, but I mean, like, as far as the reason you left and the motorcycles running off, in that sense that something was going to pop off, like, did it?
It sounded like it did, but I didn't turn around. I didn't follow up on the news or anything.
Okay.
But we had actually just finished eating, kind of in our car and on the seawall, and we were about to pull out anyway, and I heard the motorcycles rooming up. My daughter says, "Oh, it's not a good sign, is it?" And I said, "It may not be."
Yeah, maybe.
And without characterizing the people, they looked like the people we've seen on TV lately, mm-hmm. and they were driving those kind of motorcycles, the pocket rockets, mm-hmm. and basically, a couple of them showed up, and then a few more. So I would say virtually behind us, by the time we pulled out, there were probably 15 motorcycles.
Gotcha.
And they looked like they were up to no good. Just trust your senses.
Yeah.
And then it got louder, as we pulled out and took off. Although I didn't hear a cop siren, which was interesting. Yet. I haven't heard it yet.
Yeah.
So that's just that whole thing's crazy, the street racing.
Oh, yeah.
And the number of people who got involved in that. But what Fast and the Furious was the movie.
Yeah. They made like 1 million of them.
I know they did.
Yeah. I think the last one I saw was like maybe Fast 10 years ago. It was a good movie to kind of just get drunk with buddies and make fun of.
I mean, if you like action, they're really action-oriented movies.
Oh, yeah.
But was Vin Diesel in some of them?
I think he's in most, if not all of them. Okay. And the one I don't know, because like the one I saw, that Fast 5 or whatever, we wondered if there was something wrong with Vin Diesel, because he was talking a little bit like he got hit in the head, man. Like, just something was a little off. He sounded a little retarded. A little off anyway. This seemed like more so.
Okay,
at least this movie, yeah.
And one of the guys died from that movie?
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name.
He's one of the more prominent people, right?
Yeah, I think he was like the lead star in like the first or second one or whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what his deal was or why anyone cares, to be honest, but
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do in places like Chicago and now in Washington. I mean, that's going to be a tough crime to stop, and I don't think the police are going to be that interested in it anyway.
Yeah, there's really just I mean, you know all about the Soros DA thing, and it's just just getting worse, And I wonder what the grand plan is. Maybe just initiate anarcho tyranny and make people too afraid to leave their houses.
I don't know.
Keep people in a state of fear so they feel they need the state to protect them, maybe. But I mean, it's coming to the point where people are realizing that the state is failing them, because my friend in New York who got assaulted was talking about this, how he thinks, people are getting let out without fucking, I mean, if you wanted to be a criminal, this is like a great time to do it.
Couldn't be a better time.
It depends which city you're in, but yeah, in the right city, you might as well treat it like a big Grand Theft Auto video game at this point. It's like bizarre.
It is.
Yeah.
It is bizarre.
Yeah. So did you want to continue through that question?
I just had a thought about
sure.
This theme about the kind of crime, the motorcycle crime and all of that. I think that basically it's going to be hard. One issue is that their gangs usually have internal controls within the gangs. I mean, even Hell's Angels, they have some controls within. They don't let everybody just run crazy. They don't want to deal with police and show up in court and everything. So they hold some level of control internally. Black Lives Matter might have in the beginning, but it's obvious now that they had none.
Well, to me, it seems Black Lives Matter is just simply way too big of an entity to really exert because it's like the difference between a gang and multiple gangs across multiple cities, it's just, it's very hard. And they don't want to be centralized either.
Exactly. But now that they found out that a couple of the people at the top were really ripping them off.
Oh, yeah.
There's some real internal strife now.
Oh, yeah. No, a lot of people are pissed because they're like, where did all that money go?
Right.
And you just got to feel bad for people who thought they were giving money to a good cause to, I don't know, stop racism or something. But
the way they act, I never thought it was too loosely organized. It was a good cause in the beginning at all. And my experience in the 60s, and, it could be called, a racist for saying this, but the same thing appears to be happening. What happened within the Black Panthers and the Black movement is the internal strife is what ripped them apart. It wasn't the police and the courts and the external people. They just tore themselves apart. And I think that's what's happening with Black Lives Matter, and I think that could be one partial solution to the problem in a weird way. Mm-hmm. Although what happens is that, if you look at them as a gang, someone else will step to the plate and replace that.
Yeah, I wonder, though, to push back a little, as far as any organization having an internal problems when we're talking about a radical group, I can totally, get that, but weren't the feds infiltrating the Black Panthers and trying to, I don't know much about it, but whether it's a leftist or rightist group, I think they just want to infiltrate everyone and cause as much chaos and do bullshit to delegitimize an anti-government movement.
Yeah, and there was much more infiltration back in the 60s to stymie that whole movement than there is today. And I think it's because the people don't want to put their lives on the line today because there's no damn support. They don't see any support for themselves. But there was a lot of infiltration in all of those groups, s.d.s, Black Panthers.
Yeah. It's just the most I don't know, it's just the idea of the government keeping tabs on anti-government groups, that being some kind of conspiracy theory is just really bizarre to me.
Yeah.
It's why would a spy agency spy on people?
Right. Even the notion of those documents that they took pictures of, Trump's documents, and Trump said, no, they sent me, they threw them down there on the ground, made them look like that,
Yeah, planted evidence
or
whatever.
That magazine, they propped that, propped it all up.
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked at this point, but who knows what's going to happen? I heard he's probably going to get indicted. Have you heard that?
No.
Okay. Maybe it's all bullshit. I haven't been following this shit really that closely. I honestly don't kind of care that much.
Yeah, me too.
To me, it's, unless something actually happens, I just, I think I told you how shockingly underwhelmed I felt when the news broke that Mar-a-Lago was raided, and everyone was like, this is history, and I'm like, who gives a fuck?
Right.
Yeah. They're probably just stealing some fucking golf clubs he stole from the FBI's office.
Yeah, and when what's his name, the former, district attorneys, said that, hey, he had stuff, what do you expect? He had, personal records and confidential records that are stored at a golf course,
Yeah.
Well, he had an axe to grind. Just Trump didn't like him, said some shitty things about him, said he was gutless and all that, so.
Yeah.
That was just a shot back. Basically.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can't think of any president in recent history who did more to openly antagonize the, federal whatever, the FBI and shit than Trump. I don't think anyone's even come close to just saying, fuck you guys.
Right.
Iraq WMDs, what the fuck is your problem?
That's right, exactly.
Because that was, at the time, almost scandalous. The fact that, and also part of his appeal was that, he would say the shit on stage no one else would say. When he was at the Republican convention, he said, Jeb Bush, your brother fucking allowed 9/11.
Right, yeah, outrageous, the most outrageous things you could think of.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, we'll see what comes of it all, but who knows? Probably just another nothing burger, I'm gonna guess, because there was all this talk of the nuclear documents, and then all of a sudden those seem to have disappeared from the headlines. I could be wrong, but I don't know. It just kind of indicates maybe it's a fishing thing where they're just a desperate reach for everything. Maybe Trump baited them into thinking, he's about to give the nuclear codes to North Korea. And then they walk in with their, like, kind of pants down, like, oh, shit, we fell for it. But who knows?
Who knows? Getting back to this assessment, I'm not going to belabor this because basically you saw it and